everyone! Today, we're going to continue our exciting journey through the fascinating world of Fengshen. We'll be exploring Chapter 4, Su Daji throws Chaoge into turmoil and Yun Zhongzi fails to exorcise the demon. In the previous chapters, we met a sorcerer, and now, a new character comes on the scene, a Taoist immortal. Taoism is a unique part of Chinese culture. In ancient times, people believed that through self-cultivation, one could become an immortal. I bet you're all eager to find out what a Taoist immortal is like. Well, without further ado, let's start today's story. A long time ago, during the Shang dynasty, the king had immense power, just like an all-powerful boss in a video game. There were many ministers under the king, and each had their own responsibilities. Prime Minister Shang Rong was an experienced and well-respected figure. He was like the highly regarded chairman of the board in a big company, helping the king deal with all kinds of important matters. Everyone looked up to him. Grandmaster Mei Bo was a straightforward and fearless person. He was like a character in a game who would stand up and speak his mind whenever he saw something wrong, not caring if he offended others. Du Yuanxian, on the other hand, was like a system engineer in charge of detecting glitches. But his method was quite special. He observed the celestial bodies at night to predict the country's future. Back then, people had a strong belief that the changes in the stars and the moon were closely related to the fate of the country. If the positions or brightness of the stars seemed abnormal, or if they saw strange clouds, they thought it was a message from the gods, which could be either good or bad news. One day, on Zhongnan Mountain, there was an incredibly powerful immortal named Yun Zhongzi. He was like Neo from the Matrix, with amazing superpowers. He could sense mysterious things happening around him. One day, he suddenly noticed a strong aura of evil rising from the southeast. Yun Zhongzi did some calculations and found out that a 1,000-year-old fox demon had secretly slipped into the palace in Chaoge. Yun Zhongzi thought, "This is not good. I have to get rid of this demon before it causes chaos in the palace." So, he took a pine branch and carefully carved it into a wooden sword. This wooden sword wasn't an ordinary one. It was more like a wooden USB drive with a super strong antivirus program installed, specifically designed to deal with demon-like viruses. After getting ready, Yun Zhongzi left Zhongnan Mountain and headed towards Chaoge. Meanwhile, King Zhou was having a great time with Daji in the palace. He hadn't attended to state affairs for months. This made the ministers very worried. Grandmaster Mei Bo, Prime Minister Shang Rong, and Vice Prime Minister Bai Gan watched as the country was getting more and more chaotic, and they were extremely anxious. They saw this as a dangerous sign, just like the alarm going off in a company, indicating that something serious was about to happen. So, they asked the court official to ring the bells and drums. The sound of the bells and drums was like the highest level alarm in a game, reminding King Zhou that he should come and take care of business. King Zhou was having fun at the stargazing tower when he heard the bells and drums. He was really annoyed, but he had no choice but to go to the court reluctantly. Looking at the mountain of memorials on his desk, he felt overwhelmed. All he could think about was finishing this quickly and going back to have fun with Daji. The two prime ministers saw this and quickly said, "Your Majesty, the feudal lords have sent a lot of memorials, all waiting for your attention. You haven't been to the court for so long. What have you been so busy with? State affairs are too important to be ignored. You should focus on them." King Zhou, however, didn't seem to care. He said, "I heard that the world is at peace, and the people are living happily. There's just a small rebellion in Beihai, and I've already sent Grand Tutor Wenzhong to deal with it. These are just minor things. I know what you two are saying. With Prime Minister Shang Rong handling the court affairs, I'm very relieved. There's no need for me to attend the court every time." Just then, The guard at the noon gate reported that Yin Zhongzi from Zhongnan Mountain wanted to see the king. King Zhou thought, rather than listening to these ministers nag, I might as well have a chat with this Yin Zhongzi and hear some new things. So, he ordered Yin Zhongzi to be brought into the hall. Yin Zhongzi walked into the hall with a flower basket in his left hand and a whisk in his right. He just gave a simple bow to the king instead of kneeling like others. King Zhou was a bit unhappy and asked, "Where are you from?" Yin Zhongzi replied, "I'm from the realm of clouds and waters." King Zhou was curious and asked, "What does that mean?" Yin Zhongzi said slowly, "My heart is as free as white clouds, and my thoughts flow like water, going wherever they please." King Zhou was no ordinary person. He was quite smart and continued to ask, "When the clouds disperse and the water dries up, where will you go?" Yin Zhongzi smiled and answered, "When the clouds disperse, the bright moon will shine high. When the water dries up, precious pearls will appear." King Zhou thought Yin Zhongzi's answers were quite interesting. His anger turned into joy, and he even told someone to give Yin Zhongzi a seat. Yin Zhongzi wasn't polite and sat down casually. The two of them had a great conversation. King Zhou said happily, "After listening to you, I feel so refreshed. It's as if I've escaped from all the troubles of the world. Wealth and status don't matter to me anymore. But, sir, what brought you here?" Yin Zhongzi's face became serious, and he said, "I was just passing by and noticed that there's an evil aura in your imperial palace. I'm here to help you get rid of this demon." King Zhou was curious and asked, "Is there really a demon in the palace? Then how can we subdue it?" Yin Zhongzi opened his flower basket, took out the wooden sword made from the pine branch, and handed it to King Zhou. He said, "Hang this sword in the palace separation tower for 3 days, and you'll see the effect." King Zhou didn't think much about it and immediately ordered someone to hang the sword in the tower. The palace separation tower was like the firewall of the Shang dynasty, protecting the safety of the palace. But who would have thought that Daji, the 1,000-year-old fox demon, was like a super virus that had broken through this firewall and sneaked into the palace to cause trouble? After the court session, King Zhou went to the Longevity Palace happily, planning to have fun with Daji. But he was surprised to find that Daji didn't come to greet him. He felt very uneasy and quickly asked the maids. The maids were so scared that they were trembling. They said, "Lady Su suddenly got seriously ill and is lying in bed. She can't come to greet you, Your Majesty." King Zhou was shocked and rushed to see Daji. He saw that Daji's face was pale, her lips had no color, her eyes were dull, and her breathing was very weak. King Zhou was heartbroken and asked, "My dear, you were fine this morning. How did you suddenly become like this?" Daji opened her eyes weakly and said with great effort, "Your Majesty, at noon, when I went to welcome you after the court session, I saw a sword hanging above the palace separation tower. It scared me so much that I broke out in a cold sweat, and then I got sick." As she spoke, tears rolled down her face. King Zhou was stunned for a long time. He said to Daji, "The sword in the palace separation tower was given by Yin Zhongzi from Zhongnan Mountain. He said there was a demon in the palace. I had no idea it would harm you, my dear." Then he quickly ordered his servants, "Burn that wooden sword right away. It almost scared my dear to death." As soon as the wooden sword was burned, Daji regained her energy and was able to play with King Zhou again. But Yin Zhongzi was still in Chaoga. When he saw that the evil aura had appeared again, he knew that the Shang dynasty was in big trouble. So, he wrote 24 characters on the wall of the astrological observatory, "The evil aura pollutes the palace, virtuous deeds spread in the west." To know when Chaogo will be bathed in blood, look for the year of Wu Wu and the day of Jia Zi. It was like he put up a mysterious prophecy on the bulletin board of a game. People couldn't understand it, but they had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. You might be wondering why Yin Zhongzi didn't just get rid of the fox demon directly but left these words instead. It's like when a customer's computer gets a virus from visiting a bad website. At first, the virus isn't too serious, and the computer isn't completely crashed. If you forcefully remove the virus and stop the customer from accessing that website, the customer will get really angry. So, Yun Zhongzi could only leave a kind of disclaimer: the customer's computer has a virus. I gave them antivirus software, but they didn't use it. If something goes wrong later, it's not my fault.